Hello guys, welcome to my tips and tricks video about arguably one of the most controversial game engines ever made. Game Guru. Okay, let's go to setup to make sure that we have the same settings, so then hopefully we will get the same results. Hide low FPS warning, obviously set it to 1. Character capsule scale, I set it to 75. I think the stock 100 is too big. Disable dynamic res. Terrain brush size max, I set it to 8000. Obstacle radius, I set it to 8. I think the stock 18 is a bit too high. High dB, of course, this crap doesn't see the daylight on my computer. Okay, for slow test game shaders, you need to set it to 1. I already made changes in shaders, so I don't need to set it to 1, but you must set it to 1 for now. Reload weapon gun specs, set it to 1. Shadows. Usually I don't make really big maps, so 2500 real shadow distance is enough for me, and then real shadow resolution 1024 seems to be enough for me. Then when it comes to shadow cascades, this might need a little bit of explanation, so here's the explanation. That's how it looks like this is you, this is your field of view, and Game Guru will draw shadows in your field of view, and Game Guru will slice it, as you can see here, into few pieces. And Game Guru has this 1024 by 1024 texture sheet to draw shadows in real time. And this texture sheet must be enough for all of these slices. And obviously, when you have the same amount of memory, but the least amount of ground to cover, that will be the sharpest shadow. This will be a lot less sharp, and this will be completely blurry. And well, what you control here is where is the border between each slice. So if you get this closer to you, which means smaller number, that means the first slice will be smaller, shadows will be sharper, but also this border will be closer to your eyes, which means this shadow transition will be more visible. So it's all about looking for that balanced sweet spot, and for me it's here. Light mapping, it's about static light mapping, to be clear, and I'm yet to meet one single person who enjoys static light mapping in Game Guru, but who knows, maybe one day you will hit yourself in the head hard enough and you will feel the need to experiment with static light mapping. So do yourself a favor and set this to 1 and set this to 1. Yeah, because this is really important, like light mapping, deactivate directional light. That means that light mapping will exclude the sunlight, which is really important because it means Game Guru will build light mapping only for the lights you placed personally on your level and not the sunlight, which means your light mapping process won't take a whole day and will be more efficient overall. I don't recommend static light mapping, to be honest, but if you want to do it, 1 and 1 here, okay? Okay. Okay, and I think that's all from settings menu, from setup menu, but we need to go to files, effect bank, reload it, and obviously make a spare copy of your whole reloaded folder. You can call it original reloaded, so then you can always go back. Now go to settings, and here we need to change something. Oh yeah, so I think in stock setting file, this is not commented out. So it looks like that, right? So you need to comment it out. So it should look like that. If you comment it out, it means that your terrain will be shiny because specular will work. I don't know why specular was turned off in stock settings, but well, it was. So you need to comment it out. And while we are here, one more thing I'd like you to change is, well, where it is. Oh yeah, add skybox fog. So in stock settings, this is commented out, and you need to delete these two slashes. So then Game Guru will add fog to your skybox, and that means your skybox will blend a lot better with the rest of the level. Okay, so you will save the changes. I don't have to because I made the changes 2 days ago. And now we can launch Game Guru. Ta-da! And here we are in big green plane. And well, we need to build a level. So let's go. Some buildings. Maybe get this one for a little bit more variety. Okay, and that's how it usually goes, right? Somebody buys Game Guru, puts some of these buildings on the map, then finds some grass, trying to, you know, build your own Far Cry or something like that. And then you start your game. And it doesn't look like Far Cry one bit. It's not even close. And then you start to play with sliders, right? You play with ambience, surface, bloom, brightness, and whatever you do, your level still doesn't look like you want it to, and you start scratching your head why that is, right? So I will explain you. I have the answer. So Game Guru is using different shaders for different things. We have different shader for entities, different one for the ground, different one for the grass, and the skybox is like whole another different thing. So we have like many individual separated pieces that don't really go together, and doesn't matter what you do with these sliders, they still won't go together, and it will still look very weird, incoherent, and unnatural, and it's really hard to put a finger on it. But if you do this, like you try to match your entities with your sky first, so you look only at your buildings and your sky, and you turn down the ambience, because ambience is basically the brightness of your entities and brightness of everything, right? So it's not very natural looking type of lighting, so we need to bring it down. Yeah, let's say like this far. And you need to turn up your surface level, because surface level is like most important slider, I guess, from all of this. And surface level decides how much sunlight or any other light you place on the level the shaders will get to work with. So you need to rely mainly on this surface level slider, in my opinion. And you can of course adjust it like that to maybe make it a little bit more natural, and then I don't know, maybe turn up the contrast and brightness a little bit. And now the skybox is roughly matching your buildings, but it definitely doesn't match your ground and grass, and your ground and grass definitely don't match your buildings. That's because your ground and your grass is affected a lot more when you turn up the surface level slider. As you can see, like the building is not nearly as bright as your ground and your grass. And it's the most visible in these extreme cases. So what we're going to do now is create our own ground and grass, so it will fit the buildings and the skybox. Okay, so honestly, I already did it. That's how it looks like. But right now I will do it one more time so you can see the whole process. So usually when you download a PBR material from some free site, you will get the color map, height map, roughness map, AO, and normal map. And you open the color map and roughness map. And then you can open also the normal map. And you go to your color map, go to colors, curves, set the dot somewhere here, and bring down the highlights a little bit. Because Game Guru doesn't like when you have very dark and very bright pixels on your texture. Game Guru likes your texture to be somewhere in the middle. And then you go to colors and go to hue saturation, desaturate it even more, and go really dark. As you can see, the one I did before is even darker than that. You can go to curves and make it even a little bit more dark. Okay, now it looks basically the same. And you go to your roughness texture, and when you're preparing roughness, which is basically gloss in Game Guru, texture for your ground, here's the rule. The bright white will be shiny. So it's the opposite of your gloss textures for entities, right? So this black part in this texture is the water puddle. I want it to be shiny. So what I do is invert, right? So now the white part, really intense white part, will be shiny. But as I said before, Game Guru really doesn't like when you have sharp contrast in your texture, so you need to make it a little bit more toned down. Okay, and now you press Ctrl C, which means copy, and now you go here, press right mouse button here, add layer mask, white, add, and Ctrl V, which pastes this into your layer mask. And if you're happy with result, then you can press this green button here. If you're not happy with result, you press the red button, go back to your roughness map, adjust it a little bit more. I think it was a little bit too intense. Copy it one more time and paste it one more time. And now if you're happy with result, press this green button, press right mouse button, press merge and merge. Okay, so now our color map is ready. As you can see in the channels section, the roughness map we prepared is now in the alpha channel. And for some reason it works, and for some reason it's never explained anywhere in any Game Guru tutorial I ever seen. So yeah, now we can export it as PNG. Ground width 2-d.png. You can also export as DDS and it will also work, but I will export as PNG as theoretically it will be higher quality, I guess. And when you export as PNG, make sure to check this box and export. and it will take a while, because when you have semi-transparent PNGs in high resolution, GIMP is a little bit stressed and it needs to like work for a while. Okay, and when it comes to normal maps, well, this is actually the right normal map for your ground. Usually, for entities, you will see the normal maps looking like this, right? But for your ground, is upside down. So you get the green channel, and when you invert colors, the normal map gets like, you know, flipped. Okay, so, oh, yeah, okay. So you save this normal map. I mean, you export the normal map, you call it accordingly, export as DDS, and you can use BC1 because there's no transparency, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so we prepared our ground. Now let's take it into the right folder, which is files and terrain bank. No, terrain build, yeah. Okay, and as you can see, I already prepared the textures before. Let's delete them. So you will know for sure that we are using the one that we created. Okay, and let's get to texture painting, right click, select the texture, and yeah, it works. Even in the edit mode, you can see that is already nicely and nice and shiny, right? When you start the game, it looks really cool in my opinion, because the white parts of the roughness texture are now shiny. So your water puddles will reflect light pretty nicely. Unfortunately, your flashlight is not really enhancing that effect. It's kind of washing away the shaders. But yeah, but in sunlight it looks pretty nice. And look what happened. So the ground is suddenly matching the buildings way better than before. Way better. But we need to do something about that grass, because just changing it for the other one doesn't really help. So let's go into the grass folder, and fortunately in Game Guru, when you change the grass, you don't need to reload the whole program. So you can open the grass and make quick edit, overwrite it, and it will work. Okay, so for grass editing, the rules are basically the same. You press the dot somewhere in the middle and you bring down the highlights. Obviously, if you want, you can play with this a lot more, you know, to get interesting effects. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we do this. And then you go to hue saturation, bring the saturation down a little, and bring lightness a lot. It's dark, but not yet dark enough. Yeah, I think now it's just right. In GIMP, it looks like crap, but in Game Guru, it will look just right. So now you export, replace, and set as BC3 to make sure we don't break these transparent pixels. And now we need to just start the level, and Game Guru will swap the files. Ta-da! I know it doesn't look perfect, but it's damn so much better than before, right? Like this is the super dark grass we just prepared in comparison to normal Game Guru grass. Like, why nobody ever thought that this stock grass is a little bit too bright, or there's something wrong with shaders? But you need to make your grass really, really dark to make it look okay in Game Guru. Okay, and now when you get the fog down closer to you. Okay. And turn up the fog intensity. And now you can turn up the bloom. And now your game looks like real Far Cry knockoff. Like really, it looks like something that could be seen on Xbox 360 / PS3 era of games. So yeah, that's what I do to make the Game Guru look a little bit better, a little bit more unified. And when we already got the grass and ground under control, let's talk about entities and PBR. But let me take a sip of my tasty beverage first. Yeah, nothing fancy, it's just a coffee. Okay, so PBR. Wait. Before we go to PBR, we are talking live, so I'm not really well prepared for that, but I just remembered to show you something more. Also about Grant, so let's go there. If you open the level bank and go into test map folder, in this test map folder, you will see few texture atlases. Texture-D and texture-N. Really heavy textures, as you can see. They are for your texture terrain atlas. If you open them up, let's say in GIMP, you will see your whole texture sheet in 4K resolution. And if you look really closely, there is the one we just prepared, right? We just opened this atlas because that's what Game Guru does when you add your texture to this texture sheet. It takes your texture, nice looking, high resolution texture, and it slaughters it, right? So what we will see here is very low resolution version of your texture. If you look closely, one tile on this 4K texture is 1024 by 1024, right? But here's the plot twist. Game Guru doesn't use full 1024 by 1024 resolution to make your tile on the ground. Game Guru uses a lot less than that. So in this one tile, you have your actual texture in amazing 512 by 512 resolution. And the rest of this tile that you can see around here, right? Wait a second. And the rest of this tile that you can see everywhere around, yeah, all of this is probably for blending. So if you blend two terrains, Game Guru uses these little pieces probably for blending. That's just my wild guess. But I just want you to know that Game Guru will really squeeze your texture down to really small size. So then you know that you don't need to get like 4K or even 2K textures because it doesn't matter at all. Anything beyond 1K texture is basically overkill for Game Guru. I'm using 2K textures here only because I'm too lazy to shrink them down, and also because when I edit the texture and then go back to it 2 weeks later and edit it one more time, even if I lose some quality on 2K texture, this loss is a lot less visible. Okay, and here is your color texture sheet with alpha. And this is our texture that we created, right? And again, you can take this texture and export it to the test map folder, replace, and save it as BC1. And if you go back to your test map folder, now it takes 8 megabytes instead of 80, right? We cannot do the same thing for this because we don't want to lose alpha channel, but we can open this, which is vegmask, which means Game Guru takes information from here where to put grass. And this probably you can also export as dx1. Okay, so as you can see, now our textures are way lighter. And if you go to Files, Map Bank, look, that's the average size of Game Guru map, like around 100 megabytes, sometimes more. If you do EBE shenanigans, it will be a lot more. And let's save our map. Because when you're saving your map, Game Guru will take these files and save it into the map archive. And as you can see, it takes only 32 megabytes. So it's much lighter than usual, right? Because Game Guru took these files that we just optimized, I guess, and it saved it in your map file. And just to make sure it will actually work, let's reload the map. And yeah, it actually works. So hopefully that's just another piece of optimization you can do. I have no idea if it actually helps with loading times or anything, but theoretically it should. I mean, the map is much lighter than usual, right? So maybe it helps, but really I have no idea. Okay, so what else? That's, I think, all about Terrain. Okay, so now to really make our visual tutorial complete, I need to talk about entities, which means I need to talk about PBR. And what it really is, probably you heard about it many times, like physically based rendering, so your stone looks more like stone and your metal looks more like real metal, whatever it means, right? Like it doesn't, this type of explanation doesn't really help you one bit. What PBR really is in Game Guru is like overarching rendering method that works all the time, regardless of your naming scheme. Because you may think that PBR means AO, color, gloss, metalness, and normal. But really, these names are absolutely arbitrary. Oftentimes you will probably see PBR textures with different names, like you will see albedo instead of color, you will see roughness instead of gloss, you will see metallic instead of metalness, right? Like these names are absolutely arbitrary. Like somebody had a whim, oh, let's name it gloss. And yeah, it sticks around because everybody else agreed. But look, if I make a change and I name it D instead of color, and then I name this D instead of color, and I go to entities and I take that barrel and it works. Because as I said, it's completely arbitrary. So Game Guru uses two naming schemes. As you know, AO, color, gloss, metalness, normal. And for the older entities, D, and S, right? Okay, so, but as you see right now, you can name it like that and still works. Because Game Guru will recognize your D texture as a color map, or albedo if you will, in Game Guru overarching PBR system, method of rendering all things in Game Guru. How you really turn PBR on and off, you do it in setup. Somewhere here you have setting named PBR override. So if you really want to disable PBR, you need to do this. But if you don't do it, PBR is turned on and it works all the time. So if I take something from this folder, let's open this folder right here too. If I take this blooded cleaver, right? It has D, N, and S for specular. Let's put it on the map. Let's scale it up. And now, just for the experiment, let's take this item from here without the specular map. Copy it over here. So now, when I take this item from here, Game Guru will load it up as a separate entity. So theoretically, one of these items has a specular map and the other one doesn't. Let's check it. Yep, as you can see, they look absolutely identical. Because Game Guru doesn't read your specular maps at all. When you are using PBR system, and you probably are, Game Guru doesn't see specular map. It's actually just a wasted space. So Game Guru will read your -D map as albedo and -N map as normal in PBR system. And then it won't read your specular at all. Right? We don't have metalness, we don't have gloss. And yeah, we don't have specular. So yeah, so actually these specular maps are just wasted space. Game Guru doesn't see them. But what we can do to really nail down how this PBR works, we can prepare our own gloss and metalness map for this item. So let's open it in GIMP. And okay, that's our texture. And as you can see, it's non-overlapping texture, right? So each side of this asset is on this texture put separately. We go to saturation, we go down, and we are preparing the gloss map right now. And with gloss map for your entities, the rules are simple. The white places, the whiter it gets, the more rough it gets. And for black places, the blacker it gets, the shinier it will be in Game Guru. So let me prepare something really artistic. This should be really shiny, right? We should see a really big difference between this black part and the rest. And export as gloss. And now we will do a metalness texture. And for metalness textures, the rules are the opposite. So the black part is not metalness and the white part is metalness. So I will invert it. So now my LOL sign, my little graffiti will be metallic. And what it exactly means, like when something is metalness, it basically means it will absorb colors from your skybox and reflect it. So we export it as metalness. So look, we basically have full PBR set of textures with -d and -n instead of color and normal in naming scheme, and it will still work. But the problem is we already loaded this item from here on our map, right? So Game Guru will effectively remember this item and will not load it freshly from here, but it will load it like it will load just another copy of this. So to load it one more time freshly, you need to take this, copy it over, and when you have a new fresh copy of your file with different name, Game Guru will recognize this one as a new item and will load it up like a new thing that's never been loaded before, even if it's using the same files. So we go back here, load it up here, ta-da! It works! Oh, yeah, I should remove the grass, but you can see it works. Yeah, so as you can see, when you have the glossy and metalness part combined on your texture in the same place, that means from the gloss texture, it will be very shiny. And from the metalness texture, it will reflect your skybox. And look, if I change the sky for the yellow one, it also reflects that yellowness too, right? Yeah, so that's how PBR works in Game Guru. And that's not the end. That's just, we are halfway there. So yeah, don't turn off that video yet. Now, we will get another item, also from scenery folder. Let's take this dumpster. Also without S file, because as we established before, Game Guru doesn't even care about your speculars. Okay. Oh, and by the way, when you are here, we are using entity basic effect, right? You can change it to a PBR basic, and it will work and look exactly the same. Like basically this and this is the same. Yeah. There's like absolutely no difference. Now we get this dumpster, and as you can see, this dumpster doesn't have any PBR maps, like it has only color and normal. Yeah, pretty popular item, right? I've seen it in many Game Guru games. You probably use it many times. Let's put it on the map. Let's this way and that way. Okay. Okay, so when I look at the dumpster, I can see it has a normal map working. Whoa. Yeah, I wanted to press F11, I pressed screenshot. Yeah. See, the normal map is working actually. Metalness is pitch black and gloss is pretty much white, right? But if you look at these buildings, they also have like normal map working, but the metalness is light gray instead of pitch black, right? And what makes this dumpster to have pitch black, completely dark metalness value, and these buildings have it gray? Where Game Guru gets these values, huh? Because in full PBR, right, which means like you know, like as we established before, Game Guru works in PBR all the time. So Game Guru takes the values from somewhere, right? Like if you have gloss and metalness texture, Game Guru will load them. But if you don't, Game Guru will load some other values from somewhere else, right? And let me show you how it works. So you go to Effect Bank, Reloaded, Media, Materials, and these little squares right here decide about your metalness and gloss values for all things that, like that dumpster, don't have gloss and metalness maps. So if you have your item with only D and S map, with only D and N maps, or color and normal if you prefer it that way, you need to check out the material index. This is material index number 2, right? So you go to Effective Bank, Reloaded, Media, Materials, and you look for number 2. And you have gloss for number 2 and metalness also for number 2. And these values will decide about your metalness and gloss. About your metalness and gloss values of your item, like this dumpster. So you can open this metalness value and you can change it. The whiter it gets, the more metallic it gets. You can save it, overwrite it in the same place. So now metalness for number 2 is fully white. To see these changes, I need to close Game Guru and open it again, unfortunately, because Game Guru needs to reload this data. Okay, and we are back on the map. And right now, you can already see the dumpster is slightly different, but you will really see it when you load the test game. Yeah. So everything adds up. Right now, our dumpster has a really high metalness value. It's basically bright white. Before it was pitch black, which means our high metalness value reflects the skybox, which in this case is pretty much yellow, orange, whatever. But if you change it, it will also reflect it. So yeah, as you can see, it's really convenient and it's really important for you to know how it works, because for so many things you don't really need to have full PBR set of textures, because they are heavy and editing them, it's a lot of work. And imagine if you want to have like folder with rocks, like I have right here, like whole folder with only stone material, right? And you want all your rocks in all your levels to get a little bit more shiny. So if you have fully PBR textures, you need to go through them one by one and modify them one by one. But if you don't have full PBR, you just need to modify this and that. And it will change values of metalness and gloss in all your rock items. So that's really handy, and it's really useful and convenient. And all these materials work like that. So you can, for example, have 2 or 3 types of stone. For example, number 1 is your normal stone, and then you make number 15 as your really dry stone, right? So you can have like 2 types of stones in your game. And then you may ask, hey, so if you can control PBR with this, and it's so easy, then why we even need to have these super heavy PBR textures? Well, here's the answer. Sometimes you will have an item that has little details that you want to be really visible. Like, let's say I will take one of my furniture items, this desk. And as you can see, this desk is mostly wooden, but also partly metal. And if you want these materials to really stand out, you need full PBR texture set. To tell Game Guru which part is actually metallic and which part is actually wooden. If you go to furniture, I mean, this is like my costume folder. We have this desk. We can open these files, and you can see that in pretty low resolution, but I have full PBR texture set. And you can see here, right, like these details on the gloss map reflect light in different ways in Game Guru. So you walk next to your desk and you see these shiny parts and dirty parts nicely like working together. And also the metallic parts reflect light differently than the wooden parts. So that's why sometimes you actually need fully PBR texture set. But that's for you to decide. You must basically think about which items deserve this full PBR treatment, because some items in your game are really more important than others, and you don't want to waste your precious memory for something like this, right? Yeah, so I think that's the finish of our today's tutorial. I hope it was somewhat helpful, and yeah, I hope the video itself, it was kinda sorta watchable. And in next video, I think we will talk about the collisions. Yeah, the Game Guru collision system. That's in the next video, coming up hopefully pretty soon. But for today, that's all. Goodbye.